My name is Lila Moreno, and I was 11 years old the day my family went to Europe for a month and left me standing in the doorway with a single crumpled $20 bill in my hand. Don't lose it, my mother said, fastening her designer coat. It's more than enough for someone your age. You're not a baby anymore. My older sister laughed as she dragged her suitcase out the door. My brother whispered, "Try not to burn the house down," like it was a joke. I stood there barefoot on the cold tile, gripping the $20 so tightly it wrinkled into a shape that matched my chest, small, crushed, and trembling. No plan, no adult, no food stocked, no instructions, just that bill and a bright, fake smile from my mother. "We'll call when we land," she added. They didn't. The taxi pulled away. The house went still. I listened to the silence stretching through every room like a warning. For the first 2 days, I pretended I was fine. I made tiny sandwiches out of the last slices of bread. I rationed cereal like I was in some survival video game. I told myself I was strong enough, brave enough, old enough. But by day 4, the fridge was a hollow, humming skeleton. By day 6, the silence grew teeth. By day 7, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I kept telling myself they'll call, they'll check in, they'll realize what they did. But they didn't. Instead, something else happened. Something that would change everything. A sound, sharp and unexpected, cut through the house. 3 knocks. Then a voice at the door. "Lila, are you home?" I froze. Because no one ever used my name gently. I opened the door an inch. Standing on the porch was my school counselor, Mr. Hale, his face pale, eyes scanning me like he'd just seen a ghost. "Lila, you look different," he whispered. "We've been trying to reach your parents for days." No one answered. "And your teacher said you haven't been at school. Can I come in?" I didn't speak. I just stepped aside. His eyes widened. Slowly. Horrified. He stared at the empty counters, the half-open fridge, the silent, airless rooms. "Lila, who's been taking care of you?" I swallowed hard. "My family is in Europe," I said quietly. "They left me money." I opened my hand. The crumpled $20 bill was still there. Mr. Hale's jaw tightened. His eyes changed, soft concern sharpening into something colder, angrier, directed at someone who wasn't me. "Lila," he said slowly, "this is not okay." And before I could breathe, before I could even understand why his voice shook, he whispered a sentence that made my stomach drop. "I have to report this." Because he was right. And when my family finally came home weeks later, when they opened the door and saw what had happened because they left me, my mother gasped, pressing a hand to her mouth. "No," she whispered. "No. No. This can't be happening." Mr. Hale stepped fully into the kitchen, his shoes crunching against something on the floor. Cereal. From the torn box I'd been shaking crumbs out of for 2 days. He didn't look at me with pity. He looked at me like someone who was counting the wrongs in the room and realizing there were far too many. "Lila," he said softly, "how long have you been alone?" I stared at the linoleum floor. "A week," I whispered. "Almost." His breath caught. "Were you eating? Drinking? Does anyone check in on you?" "They'll call," I said automatically, then stopped. Because even saying it out loud sounded like a bad joke. He didn't ask more questions. He walked straight to the living room and sat down, motioning for me to sit across from him. "Would you mind telling me everything?" he asked gently. So I did, slowly, haltingly, the moments spilling out one by one, as if they'd been waiting for someone safe to land on. The $20, the empty fridge, the dead emergency card, the nights I slept with the TV on so the silence wouldn't swallow me. The notebook I'd started filling with sentences I didn't understand were evidence. He listened without interrupting once. When I finished, he closed his eyes for a moment like he was steadying himself. Then he said the words that cracked the house open. "Lila, this isn't only irresponsible. This is neglect." Neglect. A word too big for the kitchen we were sitting in. Too heavy for my 11-year-old chest. What does that mean?" I whispered. "It means," he said carefully, "your parents made choices that put you in danger. And there will be consequences. Consequences. My mother's favorite word. But never for her. He pulled out his phone and stepped away to make a call, whispering terms I'd only heard in courtroom dramas. Minor alone, no food, no contact. Urgent welfare check. My stomach twisted with something sharp, fear mixed with relief. Because deep down I knew, this was bigger than me now. When he returned, he knelt to my eye level. "Someone is coming to help you," he said. "You won't be alone tonight." A soft knock came at the door not long after. Mrs. Devlin, our next-door neighbor, rushed in, her eyes filling the moment she saw me. "Oh, sweetheart. Why didn't you come to me?" I shrugged. I didn't want anyone to think I couldn't handle it. "That's not strength, Lila," she said. "That's survival." Between Mr. Hale, Mrs. Devlin, and the woman from Child Services who arrived minutes later, the house filled with voices, real adult voices, ones that actually cared. They checked the fridge, photographed the pantry, asked gentle questions. Someone handed me a sandwich. Someone else placed a blanket over my shoulders. For the first time in a week, the house felt warm. But beneath that warmth was a quiet realization settling into every corner. My family had left a child alone, and the world wasn't going to stay quiet about it anymore. The woman from Child Services introduced herself as Ms. Rayner, though her tone made it feel like she already knew everything she needed to. She walked room to room, jotting notes on a clipboard. The empty counters, the stale air, the fridge humming over nothing, the lone $20 bill now resting on the table between us. Her face didn't twist in disgust.
She didn't gasp.
She didn't pity me. She documented. That was somehow scarier and safer. "Lila," she said gently, "when was the last time your family spoke to you?" I pulled at the thread on my sleeve. "At the airport. And that was 7 days ago." She wrote that down too. The scratch of her pen sounded like a door locking behind the version of my life my family preferred to pretend existed. When she finished her circuit of the house, she sat across from me, folding her hands. "Here's what's going to happen," she said in that calm, steady tone only people who know the law well can use. "You're going to stay with a responsible adult tonight. Someone you trust." My eyes flicked toward Mrs. Devlin. She nodded before I could even speak. "If she wants, she stays with me." Want. No one had asked me that word in a long time. "Is that okay with you, Lila?" Ms. Rayner asked. It was more than okay. It felt like oxygen. I nodded, but something else gnawed at me. A heavy question. A fear I couldn't swallow anymore. "What's going to happen to my family?" I whispered. Ms. Rayner didn't sugarcoat it. "We will be opening an official investigation. Depending on what we find, there may be serious consequences. Leaving a minor unattended like this is." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "It's not something the law overlooks." I swallowed hard. The room felt colder. Not because of what she said, but because of what I suddenly remembered. My notebook. The one with my handwriting on the front. If something happens, at least the truth will. It had started as a place to spill loneliness, anger, fear. But now it was something else. "Lila," Ms. Rayner said softly, "if you feel comfortable, your notes could help us understand what happened." I stood up slowly and went to my room. The notebook was under my pillow, creased, messy, written in childish loops that didn't look nearly strong enough to hold the kind of truth adults avoided. But when I handed it to her, she accepted it like it was evidence in a trial. She flipped through a few pages. The shopping list that never came. The panic on day 4. The dry cereal on day 6. The sentence, "I don't think they remember I exist." I watched her expression shift. Not shock, not sadness, but something colder, sharper. Resolve. "These notes will be included in the case file," she said quietly. "They matter." Matter. Another word I hadn't heard directed at me in years. As we packed a small bag for me to take next door, I thought about my family boarding that plane, smiling, laughing, posing for pictures that would go on social media. They wanted a month of freedom. They didn't expect the truth to be waiting for them when they came back. And when they walked through that same door weeks later, the file, the photos, the notes, the reports, me, would be the first thing they saw. Mrs. Devlin's house smelled like cinnamon and lavender, two things I hadn't realized I missed until they wrapped around me like a blanket. She guided me inside gently, like touching me too quickly might shatter something fragile. "You're safe here, Lila," she said. The words felt unreal, almost fictional. Safe wasn't something I knew how to be. She made me sit while she heated soup and sliced fresh bread. I tried not to inhale it too fast, but my stomach made its own decisions. When she placed the bowl in front of me, her eyes softened. "Oh, honey, because hungry kids don't lie. Their bodies tell on them." While I ate, Ms. Rayner and Mr. Hale spoke quietly near the hallway. Adult words. Legal words. Words that make families nervous. Mandatory report. Duration of abandonment. Unmonitored minor. Evidence provided by the child. Immediate safety plan. Each phrase carved another truth into the walls of my old house next door. After dinner, Mrs. Devlin brought out extra blankets and tucked them around the guest bed. A real bed. With clean sheets. With someone checking if I was warm enough. "Do you want night light on or off?" she asked. No one had ever asked that. "On," I whispered. Before leaving, she added the one thing that almost undid me. "You shouldn't have had to go through this alone." I blinked hard, because tears felt like a luxury I hadn't earned yet. When the lights dimmed, I finally let myself breathe. The kind of breath that shakes free from the inside out. But sleep didn't come easy, because despite the softness around me, my mind kept returning to my old house, dark, empty, humming with the weight of all the things unsaid. It was strange. The place I'd lived my whole life had never protected me. But the moment I left, it started telling the truth for me. While I stared at the ceiling, the adults next door were still documenting everything. The photos of the empty shelves, the expired yogurt container, the untouched emergency card, my notebook full of sentences that weren't written to accuse anyone, but to survive. And somewhere between midnight and morning, as I drifted in and out of half-sleep, one thought repeated itself over and over. They're going to see everything. Not the polished version. Not the excuse-filled version. The real version. And the moment that happens, the moment they walk back into that house, their lives won't look the same anymore. Morning light spilled through Mrs. Devlin's curtains like something I wasn't used to. Gentle, not harsh. She knocked softly before opening the door, carrying a plate of pancakes shaped like little hearts. It took me a moment to understand what I was looking at. She made these. For me. My eyes stung before I could stop them. "No rush," she said. "Eat when you're ready." Ready. Another word no one had ever given me permission to feel. Downstairs, Mr. Hale and Ms. Rayner were already sitting at the kitchen table, a thick folder between them. My folder. The one with my notes, the photos, the timeline of a week adults had chosen to ignore. "Lila," Ms. Rayner said, turning to me with a calm seriousness, "we'll need to prepare for your family's return. They should be landing in a few days." My stomach tightened. "Return. That doesn't mean you're going back there," she added quickly. "Not until we know you're safe." Safe. That word again. "Will they be mad?" I whispered. Mr. Hale exchanged a look with her, the kind adults give each other when the truth is heavy. "They might be defensive," he said gently. "Some people react to guilt with anger." "But the facts are clear," Ms. Rayner added. "And your notes helped more than you know." I looked down at my hands. I had written those sentences in the dark, with a flashlight and a shaking pencil. Not for evidence. Not for justice. For survival. Now, they were holding those pages like something important. Something real. The next few days were a blur of small, soft things I didn't know I needed. Warm breakfasts. Clean clothes. Someone asking how I felt, not what I did. But beneath all of it, a pressure grew. A quiet countdown. Because every adult in the room knew something I hadn't admitted to myself yet. When my family returned, the house would tell its own story. On the third day, Ms. Rayner sat beside me on the couch. "They confirmed the landing," she said. "They'll be home this afternoon." My throat squeezed tight. "What will happen when they get there?" She didn't sugarcoat it. "They will meet us inside," she said. My supervisor, Mr. Hale, myself, and everything we've documented. I imagined it. My mother walking through the front door, expecting a month's worth of souvenirs, stories, maybe a hug she didn't truly mean. Instead, the photos, the empty fridge, the $20 on the table, the notebook, the file with her name on it, her choices printed, her silence recorded, her neglect undeniable. What if she says I'm lying? I asked. You wrote dates, she said. You wrote times. You wrote what you ate, what you didn't eat, who didn't call, who didn't check in. She touched the folder. Truth doesn't need to shout to be heard. I swallowed hard. Do you think she'll be angry? Yes, she said honestly. But anger can't erase evidence. I didn't know whether to be terrified or relieved. Maybe both. Because for the first time in my life, the truth wasn't something I had to hide. It was something waiting for my family. Inside the house. They abandoned me in a truth they couldn't run from this time. They arrived at exactly 4:17 p.m. Not 4 o'clock. Not 4:30. Exactly, because people who think they're still in control like to be precise. I stood behind Ms. Rayner in my old living room, my hands clasped so tightly my knuckles hurt. Mrs. Devlin was beside me. Mr. Hale stood by the kitchen doorway like a quiet shield. The house was clean now, but not comforting. It felt like a courtroom. The $20 bill sat on the counter. My notebook lay open to the page that read, Day 6, still no call. The front doorknob rattled, then turned. My mother walked in first, dragging her luggage like she'd just stepped off a runway instead of a month-long vacation. My older sister followed, then my brother, then my father with 2 duty-free bags swinging at his side. They were laughing, until they saw us. My mother's smile froze. My father took half a step back. My sister blinked as if she couldn't understand why the air felt heavy. Then my mother's eyes landed on me and widened. Lila, she breathed, confused. Why are all these people here? Before I could answer, Ms. Rayner stepped forward with the practiced calm of someone who had done this many times. Mrs. Moreno, she said, we need to discuss your daughter's well-being during your absence. My mother frowned. Her well-being? She's fine. We left her money. Her gaze flicked to the counter, stopped at the crumpled $20. Something in her expression flickered. We've documented the condition the home was in, Ms. Rayner continued, as well as the lack of food, contact, or supervision. My father stiffened. Supervision? She's 11, not a toddler. Mr. Hale's voice cut through the room quietly. She missed a full week of school. And no one called us, my mother snapped. No, he corrected gently. You didn't answer. My sister opened her mouth, then closed it. I watched my family shift, confidence cracking, denial rising like a reflex. This is ridiculous, my mother said. Lila, tell them you're fine. I stared at her, not angry, not crying, just steady. I was hungry, I said quietly, and alone. Her face drained of color. That's exaggerated. She documented everything, Ms. Rayner interjected, gesturing to my open notebook. Dates, times, conditions, attempts to feed herself, the lack of contact. My mother grabbed the notebook with trembling hands and skimmed the pages. Her breath hitched. No, she whispered. No, this can't be happening. She said it exactly the same way she would 3 hours later in the kitchen, after the full report was read aloud. Exactly the same way she had when the officers asked her why she left an 11-year-old for a month. Exactly the same way she would say it at the hearing. Because the truth wasn't coming. It was already here. And it wasn't on my side or hers. It was just undeniable. My mother sank into a chair like her legs had forgotten how to hold her weight. My father's jaw clenched so tightly I could hear his teeth grind. My sister hovered behind them, pale, confused, angry, but not at the right things. No one moved. No one spoke. So Ms. Rayner did. Based on the evidence, she said, placing the folder on the table, we are initiating an emergency protective order. Effective immediately, Lila will not be placed back under your unsupervised care. My mother's lips parted in disbelief. You're taking my child away? Temporarily, Ms. Rayner clarified. Pending a full investigation. This is insane, my father snapped. We were gone for 1 week. You were gone for 7 days with no contact, Mr. Hale corrected calmly. And she ran out of food on day 4. My father's face reddened. We left money. $20, Ms. Rayner said. For 7 days. For a child. That shut him up. My mother shook her head, tears spilling over. Lila, honey, tell them it wasn't that bad. Tell them you managed. I took a slow breath. I didn't manage, I said softly. I survived. Her face crumpled at the word survived. Suddenly, she wasn't angry. She was terrified. I didn't speak to hurt her. I spoke because every adult in the room had already seen the truth. You should have called, I whispered. You should have checked on me. We thought you were mature enough, my sister blurted out, her first word since returning. I turned to her. I'm 11. She swallowed hard and looked away. My father tried again. Desperate. There must be something we can do. There is, Ms. Rayner replied. You will attend mandatory parenting classes, complete psychological evaluations, and participate in supervised visits. If all goes well, the court will consider next steps. My mother covered her mouth. My sister began to cry. But something unexpected happened next. My brother, who had always been the golden child, the favorite, the one who never got blamed, looked straight at me. His voice cracked when he spoke. You were really alone, he whispered. Not accusing. Not sarcastic. Genuinely shaken. Yes, I said. He nodded once. As if something inside him shattered too. My father placed his hands on the table, knuckles white. So, what happens now? He asked, defeated. Ms. Rayner looked at me, not them. Now, she said gently, Lila goes somewhere she is safe. And seen. Safe. Seen. 2 words that didn't belong to them anymore. I wasn't the one who changed the room. The evidence did. The truth did. And as Mrs. Devlin placed her hand on my shoulder and guided me toward the door, I realized something. My family never believed consequences could reach them. They believed love covered everything. They believed silence erased everything. They believed being parents excused everything. But standing there in my empty kitchen, case files spread out like mirrors, they finally understood the one thing they never taught me. Actions have consequences. Even theirs. We left before they could follow. The door didn't slam behind me. It clicked shut, soft, final, like a chapter closing without permission. I walked across the lawn to Mrs. Devlin's house, her warm hand steady on my shoulder. Behind us, the voices inside my old home began to rise. Panic, arguments, denial. All of it collapsing under the weight of something they had never expected. Truth with witnesses. Inside the Devlin home, everything felt smaller, quieter, safer. Sit down, sweetheart, she said, setting a cup of warm cocoa in front of me. You've been through enough. Enough. That word lingered, because for the first time in my life, adults agreed. Across the table, Ms. Rayner wrote the final notes of the day's report. Mr. Hale sat nearby, watching over me like an anchor in the storm. I wasn't crying. I wasn't shaking. I was still. A strange kind of still that didn't come from fear, but from something I didn't recognize at first. Relief. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind, like a breath I'd been holding for 11 years had finally been exhaled. As the sun dipped behind the houses, Ms. Rayner closed the file. Lila, she said softly, do you want to write something for the final report? A message for the court? It's optional. A message. For once, my voice mattered. I nodded and took the pen she offered. My hands didn't shake as I wrote. I wasn't angry. I was hungry. I wasn't dramatic. I was alone. I didn't want revenge. I wanted someone to notice. When I finished, I handed the paper back. She read it, blinked hard, then added it to the folder. The thick, undeniable stack of truth that would follow my family farther than they ever imagined. Later, when their hearing came, they didn't shout. They didn't blame. They didn't twist the story. Because my notebook pages, the photos, the timeline, the professionals, the witnesses, all stood between them and the lie they tried to tell. They weren't monsters. They were careless. And carelessness has consequences. Weeks turned into months. My family attended their classes, their evaluations, their supervised visits. Sometimes they cried. Sometimes they apologized. Sometimes they asked for forgiveness. Maybe one day I'll give it. Maybe not. But I know one thing. When they walked through the door that first night, expecting souvenirs, stories, and smiles, they found something they couldn't escape. A truth they didn't get to rewrite. A daughter they couldn't ignore anymore. And the sentence my mother gasped the moment everything collapsed around her.
No. No.
This can't be happening. She was wrong. It was happening. It had been happening the moment they left me behind with a $20 bill and called it love.